Hello! Hi, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Jen is here. Hello, Jen. All right. I have had a very full day. I've been doing a lot of writing. Really, that's just been all weekend. I've been doing a ton of writing. Let me check. I am at 43,860 words. That's where I left off this afternoon during the Storyteller's Hearth. So I was a part of a live stream earlier this afternoon. You should go check it out. It was on Jen's channel. Speaking of Jen, it was super fun. I met some new writing friends, so that was a really good time, and I got a lot done. I got over 1,000 words written, and I'm hoping to get another 1,000 at least in this stream as well, so that I can be up to 3,000 for the day. When I sit down to write, I've been trying my hardest to hit that 3,000 mark. That seems to be pretty normal for me, 3,000 like a day, typically in one writing session, but if I have short writing sessions, the day. So I'm excited to sit down and write, and it was a lot of fun to do another live stream earlier today. So Jessica's here. Sorry, I haven't been able to attend many of the last lives. Took a break. I completely understand. Everybody needs a break. I am looking at my schedule actually to decide when I want to take a break from everything for a little bit, and I'm not quite sure when that'll fall for me. Probably end of May-ish, because I work in school counseling, so I'm in a public school, and at the end of May, we let out for the school year, so I just naturally get some time off from my day job. So I will probably take a week or so off from everything at about that point. So I completely understand. Everybody needs to take time for themselves, hit reset, whatever that looks like. Thieves is here. Hello. Jen says, I'm low-key exhausted. So Jen was in our live stream. Jen hosted the live stream. I am also a little tired, but ready to get a bit more done, hoping to get 2 chapters done to wrap part 4 of a second story. Well, hopefully you can get that done during our live stream tonight. I really hope so. Where am I in my story? Speaking of, I said I was 43,860 words total in. In today's earlier live stream, I wrote 1,139. So, where am I? Oh, I am at a point in book 3, because that's what I'm working on, is book 3 in the Guardians of the Sixth Gate series. It'll be the last book in the whole series. I am at a point where Tori starts to know a character who comes in at the very, very end of Shade of the Shadowlands. Shade of the Shadowlands is book 2. It comes out May 30th, and I am currently writing on book 3 while I'm waiting on my editor and cover designer to get back. So I'm really excited. I talked to my cover designer Friday. I think it was Friday. I talked to her a little Friday. We talked a little bit about like concept art and like theme colors for the book. And so I gave her some ideas. We already have like a whole template made that'll go for all 3 books. So if you have Guardians of the Sixth Gate or you've seen the cover, it'll be very similar to that. We want to keep the rings. So the rings are going to be a theme throughout to tie them in. So we'll just change out a couple things, change some color schemes, I think. But I cannot wait to hear back again from her. Normally she's very quick, so I can't wait to see like an early draft of the cover art. I'm hoping that I'll see one later in the week. Typically, after we've talked about the concept, about a week later, I have a mostly finished ebook cover. So she does amazing work. I love my cover designer. I've had the same one since I started publishing. All right. What is everybody else working on? Jessica said, currently editing chapter 8, hoping to get at least 2 chapters edited tonight. That seems like a pretty good goal to me. Jen says, that's so exciting. I am crazy excited. I know that you have your cover coming soon also, Jen. So if you guys didn't know, Jen Her book comes out May 11th, so we have a similar release date. It's her debut. It is a cozy fantasy called A Second Story. I am really excited to see it. I've seen some sneak peeks of things because Jen is super nice and has shared some things with me. So I cannot wait to see your cover art either. My cover artist told me her deadline is April 8th. Self-imposed. She's in uni finals right now. Understandable. You've got to be a little flexible when you're in college working on some of those deadlines because all kinds of things can happen. Yes. I cannot wait. For me anyway, when I get the cover art back or I start to do the formatting of the book, but usually the cover art comes before the formatting for me, the ebook anyway. The ebook cover comes for me, and then that's when I do all my interior because I have to give her a final page count for paperbacks. But when I get that first ebook cover, that's when everything starts to feel real. It feels like a real book. And I think a lot of authors might share that same sentiment. You've written the book, you get it edited, you get feedback from everybody, yada, 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 yada. But it's not this physical thing until you can see the cover that goes on the outside. That's when it feels real to me. So I'm excited to hear from her. He says, I've been super busy with life, so getting back to writing after a week or so, not sure what yet. I'm going through my Google Docs to decide. Understandable. Or just Docs. Maybe they're not Google Docs. I used to write in Google Docs. I stopped when we had first moved. So we were moving from our old house to this house we're in now. And then we decided to switch our Wi-Fi about a month after we moved here. And so my internet was not the most stable until maybe like 6 months ago. So I moved from Google Docs to writing in Word because I don't have to worry about the online offline feature. I don't have to have that preset. So I just write in Word. And I think it's easier I say it's easier. I don't think I have to do another conversion step to upload it to Vellum, which is my formatting software. When I publish, I can upload the Word document and then it immediately formats a lot of it. So that's been nice. Google Docs, yes. Yes, I do love working in Google Drive. I still have my Google Drive. I put all of my final copies in there as a place to store them when I finish, just in case. Yes. I take my chances most of the time and I don't save anything except on my computer until I'm finished. Then I upload it all. That's kind of risky. I know. But I do like Google Drive. So I definitely use all of the products there. So let's see. I will be writing on book 3. I told you guys I was 43,000 words in. I'm on page 158. Yeah, 158. And I just started a new chapter today when I was in the other live stream. So I'm on chapter 15. I'm super excited because this is kind of the point where the plot starts to pick up. A lot of the books so far in book 3 has been that romantic payoff. I got a review not long ago where they had mentioned there's not a lot of spice in Guardians of the Sixth Gate, and there's not a lot. It's a lot of like romantic tension. I really like a slow burn. So this is where the slow burn starts to pay off, is book 3. So I am into the point where the plot starts to take over the romantic stuff a little bit more. So we get back to what the circle's doing, how we're going to work towards closing the gate, the overarching plot. So that's where I am in book 3. Jen says, I am so amped to get going on formatting. I want to get there so I can jump back into Project Luck, which is book 2. I feel ya. I am still that spinoff that I have planned for Guardians of the Sixth Gate. It involves a character from book 2. So from Shade of the Shadowlands, you guys have not met this character yet, but I think you guys are going to love them. I have a whole other series planned for the person. So I'm excited to get down and write it. I've had to hit pause a couple nights when I've been writing on book 3. That way I could get scenes down in my head onto the page. So I've been writing those in Google Docs. That way I have them for the future and I can move on because there have been a couple nights where I am dying so much to write about these characters that it bugs me so much I have a hard time writing on book 3. So, um, cannot wait to get to that project. That's the next book I'll probably write. I think that's the plan. I'll get to that in the summer. I'm planning to release book 3 of Guardians of the Sixth Gate in the fall, along with Winter Witches, and then the first one in the spinoff in the spring. That's the plan, as long as everything works out. So we'll see. Jessica says, as I edit this, I have to keep myself from rewriting parts that I know I want to rewrite and rather just make a note of it. I agree. I have struggles with that also. I think that's part of the reason I try to do things all at once. One, it's fresh in my brain that way, but also I don't catch myself, I don't have the idle time or like, I don't have the downtime, I guess, to go back in and make those corrections because I just try to do it all, do the whole book at once. So I don't have time to stop to make corrections. So I completely understand. Sometimes it's really hard to just let things be and get back to them later. That's something I had to learn because I used to edit as I would write sometimes, like in draft 1, and that made writing my first drafts a very lengthy process. And now that I've published and I've kind of learned and refined my process more, I actually write a whole lot quicker. I can, for most books, I mean, some books are longer than others, but for most books, I can sit down and write the whole thing in a month if I fast draft it. And that works really well for me. I'm a quick writer. I'm a pantser for the most part. I do plan like the bare bones of my books, but I'm still a pantser at heart. So that fast drafting techniques actually keeps me from editing as I go. All right. I think maybe now is a good time to jump into our first sprint of the night. We will go for 20 minutes as per usual. So if you are new, because I did make some new friends today during the live stream this afternoon. So if you are one of those friends, what we usually do in my live stream is we do 20-minute sprints where we all work on whatever we're working on. Maybe we're reading, writing, cleaning the house, whatever it is. And then after 20 minutes is up, we come back together and we chat a little bit more. So we will do 20 minutes and we'll see where I get. I'm going to continue where I am in chapter 15, see where that goes. So let's put, there's our timer up on the screen. We're going to do 20 minutes. We'll do 3 rounds of that. So I will see you guys in just a minute. 1, 2, 3, sprint. All right. So let me see where I am. I got to 44,000. I had a pretty good sprint there. Normally it takes me a little bit to fall into like for everything to fall into place, but I think because I had already written today, from that stream, that it made it a whole lot easier to get into the story. I didn't have to do um, so much mood setting. So I wrote 599 words in sprint number 1. So pretty pleased with that. How did everybody else do? What was everyone else working on? All right, Jessica said almost done with chapter 8. That is great, Jessica. You said you wanted to get 2 chapters. So that's pretty good. You got all finished, just about all of chapter 8. So you're almost there, halfway there. And we still have 2 more sprints left. So that's great. What is everybody listening to tonight? Anyone listening to music? We've talked before, and it sounds like a lot of us write with background music. I have been playing Bad Omens, Like a Villain. I've been playing that on repeat quite a lot the last couple of days. It doesn't really fit the theme of book 3 so much. It fits the scene I'm writing, but it fits my spin-off a little better. So I added it to the spin-off playlist, but I am listening to it tonight just to get kind of the angsty vibes going because I'm filming some like combat things. Thebes said 564. Sheesh. That was pretty good. Jen said 1 out of 2 chapters done. That's great. 1 out of 2? You really are halfway done then. Wow. I watch other random writing vlogs while I write. Music doesn't work for me. I have noticed I work really well under pressure. And so I also, the last couple weeks, have been pulling up other authors' writing streams here on YouTube, like old versions of them. So if I miss one, I'll play it while I'm doing a writing session, usually during the weekdays. So I find that that works for me too. I work really well under pressure and time constraints. So I can kind of trick my brain into competitive mode to try and write as much as I can during a certain window of time when I do those writing streams. So I've been doing a lot of those too. Usually I still have some music going during the actual writing part, but it's been nice. I'm a competitive person, so it's definitely helped me to be more productive with my time. Jen said, I'm watching Gab Smolders play through Stardew Valley. Ooh, I'm so tempted to get the game now. I might get it as a finished this draft present to me. Ooh, that's a good question. Do you guys reward yourselves when you finish writing a book? It's really my husband. So my husband keeps track of my writing a bit. And when I publish a book, he always shows up on publication day. Usually at like the end of the day when we get home from work, he'll show up with like a bottle of champagne and we'll just have a casual like me time, take the time off from writing that night, and we'll just sit together and watch TV or something and just kind of celebrate at home. So, do you guys do anything like that when you reach the end of a book or finish writing your draft? I don't do so much of that when I finish writing a draft. I definitely take time off after I finish writing a book, the first draft. I usually take a couple days and just kind of spend it to myself. I don't do anything. Usually it's just like a couple days, nothing huge, but I definitely acknowledge that it's a huge accomplishment just to finish a book, let alone publish one. Said, nice. Jessica, I decided to start a pirate story just for some fun writing. Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack going. Oh, those are some good soundtracks. When I'm writing, most of what I have going right now is urban fantasy. It's all set in like the real world, but when I'm writing my fantasy projects, I get stuff like that going in the background. It's a lot of like Viking music is a big one. I'll pull up Viking inspo or music from like the TV shows Viking. I pull up that kind of stuff for my fantasy playlists. I am hugely inspired by like Norse mythology for my fantasy. So you can't go wrong with a good Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack. Jessica is saying that Jen, you should buy the game. You should get the game. I don't know anything about this game, but you should get it. Love the vibe it gives off. It's so sweet. I'm assuming you're saying you should celebrate more often. I think this is going to be the gift to myself once I'm done this read through. I think you have to do a certain amount of that to keep things fresh and keep you going. It's just like taking vacations. Everybody needs some time off just to keep themselves like creatively going. And I think rewarding yourself for those kinds of milestones is a huge part of that. It's just like self-care. So I say go for it. Love me some Celtic Viking music. Heck yes. I listen to a lot of that. I have a playlist of just that kind of stuff. It's not attached to any of my projects, just as like inspiration because so many of my like true fantasy works have that kind of feel to them. So I love me some Viking Celtic music. Yeah, I totally agree. Self-care and treating yourself is the best. I don't do it often enough. I try to remind myself. I don't try to do self-care. Let's be honest. I'm not quite there yet, but I try to remember to think about it. I remind everybody else, um, but I don't always take time for myself. So I need to work on that also. So it's not just I keep telling you that you should buy that game, Jen, but it's not just you. I need to do a better job myself too. So, first sprint sounds like it went really well for everybody. Make sure that you are subscribed to my channel if you're not. That way, you catch all of the writing streams and upcoming videos this next week on Wednesday. I'm still finishing it. I'm missing some footage for this. I need to find where that went. But on Wednesday this week, I'm planning to release a video that kind of gives you a glimpse what my week looks like as an author, what kind of schedule I keep because I really have fallen into a schedule. It changes a little if I'm writing, right now I'm drafting a book versus if I'm just editing or any of those other duties, but I do still keep kind of a schedule now. And so that video on Wednesday is all about what that schedule looks like for the writing side of things. I work my full-time job. I'm a school counselor. I work in public schools. That's what I do like during the day. That's what I do most of my day. But I still keep a schedule during the week for writing. So Wednesday, I will put that video out just to give everybody an idea how I make it happen because I get asked that, especially recently. I've been asked that at like work. How do you find time to write a book? Yada, yada, yada. And so I kind of took notes on how I actually do it. And so I have a whole video now. So that's coming Wednesday. And then, of course, vlogs and our live stream on Sunday. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of that. So that's fun. Hopefully it'll be a pretty casual week. My therapist moved different locations. So my therapist works for a new agency and I finally got in with that agency. So I go Thursday for therapy. And at first I was a little disappointed because it's kind of late in the day. But speaking of self-care, I'm going to use that time before to do things for myself. I set it up with Alex, my husband. He's going to pick up Finn, do the whole evening routine, and I'm going to have a lot of Thursday until that appointment to just spend time by myself. So maybe I will have more of a like self-care routine now because I'll do that, I'm assuming most Thursdays or every other Thursday. I don't go every week. So that's pretty much all in my week. So I'm hoping to be able to get a lot of writing done this week during the weekdays because I don't have many weekday plans. Phoebe says, I'm doing the trick where I'm using a fun font type. Ooh, I've never tried that, but I know it works for a lot of people. It just looks nice as I write. though, and I can edit it Arial later so my eyes don't hurt from the weird font. I think that's a good trick. I think that's great. Um, what other things have I heard of that I don't use? I've also heard some people put rather than doing font, some people do color. I've seen that one. I do everything in the final as final as a product as I can. So I don't do any of the fun fonts. I keep everything formatted the way they tell you to for like if you were querying an agent, the way they want you to send it in, I keep everything formatted mostly that way, just because it makes it a whole lot easier on the back end. But I do make notes as I go. So at the bottom of my draft, as I'm writing, I put notes, things that I know I'll need to either remember for later, or maybe I've thought of a scene or some little detail I need to add, but I'm not at that point yet. I add it at the bottom and I erase them all as I go. So by the time I get to the end of the draft, all of those notes are gone. I do that. That's a fun trick. That helps me a lot. That's a good idea. That is a really good idea. I don't think it'd work for me, but I know that it works for a lot of other people. Jessica says she's gonna have to try that. Try it out and see what happens. That's so much of writing. That's what I love about storytelling. There's not really there's not really a standard way to do it. There is, but you can totally break some of the rules. Um, I'm all about that. Creative freedom, man. Try it out and see what happens. I definitely don't do it all the time, but it's nice just to get my brain thinking. This is fun writing and I don't need it to look or be perfect. Also distracts from the yes. It also distracts from the red squiggly lines of mess ups. That's true. When you write things like fantasy and sci-fi, especially where you have made up names, made up places, oh my gosh, I don't know how many times I have tried to tell Word that, add this to my dictionary and it just does not remember it. It will for a little while and then it reverts and oh my gosh. So, it's so annoying to have those red squiggly lines, but I've just had to accept that they're just gonna be there all the time. As annoying as they are, they just have to live there now. So that would be a big pro to me, taking away from that. I hate when that happens. Yes. Yes. Usually, um, usually it's places, not so much names. I noticed it more when I wrote The Arena because it was a lot more world building. Guardians of the Sixth Gate takes place in the real world, so there's not a whole lot of like lingo exclusive to it. There are not really made up words, but The Arena definitely had some made up words, and so it would underline things like crazy. All right. I think it is 9:09 for me anyway. I think maybe it's a good time to jump into our second sprint. We'll do another 20-minute writing session. I am at 44,000 now, 459. So we'll see how far I can get. Make sure you like this stream down below on YouTube. Give me a like. It helps other author people find it, other writers, book people that might enjoy seeing the process. So make sure you like it. Tell me in the comments what you think. Love to hear all the feedback. It's informed a lot of what kind of content I put out on YouTube. It's been really fun. And I've just chatted with a bunch of you about books in general. So you really cannot go wrong with that. So let me pull up our timer. There we go. We are going to do another 20 minutes. See where we get to. I was making my to-do list with the first sprint, so maybe I can beat my 599 words from the first sprint. There we go. I always have to make things competitive. So I'm going to try to beat my 599 from the first sprint. And I dropped my pen. There we go. Okay, so 20 minutes on the clock. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, sprint. Best of luck. All right. So there was our second sprint. Where did I end up? I'm at 45,191 words. Wow. So I'm moving fast today. I've always, at least since I've published, I've been a pretty quick writer, but this draft is just flowing. Holy moly. So I was trying to beat my first sprint of 599 words, and I smashed it. So in sprint number 2, I wrote 732 words. Holy moly. Things are rocking and a rolling. Things are definitely taking shape for me. How did everybody else do? Woo. All right. Jen finished chapter 8. Chapter 9 is long, so we will see if I finish next sprint. I bet you can knock out quite a chunk either way. Jen said, I 100% got distracted by my friend. He convinced me to buy not only Stardew, but another game I have been eyeing. Whoops. It happens. It happens. I've definitely done that several times. Sometimes I use these streams, not my streams on my channel, but on other people's channels. Sometimes I watch them and just like do other things. Like yesterday, I did a little shopping during Jen's stream. So, hey, sometimes you got to take a break. Nicely done. Thank you. Only read through about 300 words this round. Next one, I will finish the chapter. I think that's good. You're still within your goal. You were already like halfway done after the first sprint. So you still got time. Phoebe said 541. That is a good word count. What am I up to for the day? Now I'm kind of curious. I started at 42,721. So I've gotten quite a bit done today. I've written 2,470 words today. So that's good. I should get pretty close to that 3,000 mark in sprint number 3, which is the final sprint. 3,000 words seems to be like pretty normal for me anymore. I've gotten to be a quick writer. That seems to be pretty normal. For the third sprint, most of you, I think, have subscribed to my newsletter, but make sure you do, because the end of this week, we get into April. And on the 1st, which is Saturday, the very beginning of every month, I send out a newsletter. It's really brief. It's just the highlights, but it's the only place you can get the breakdown of everything that I'm doing for the month in advance. I don't put that anywhere else, just in the newsletter. So Saturday, I will release the newsletter, which will tell you what's coming to YouTube for April. It'll tell you what I'm working on in April writing wise, and also give you a glimpse of what April for Patreon looks like. I have some things planned for Patreon. I should be wrapping up editing close-ish to the 1st of February. I'm hoping to do all of that this next weekend. So I should have, I should be able to start sending out chapter sneak peeks to my Patreon members. So if you're not a Patreon member, take a look at that, because you get exclusive short stories. All of Winter Witches, which is my fantasy romance I wrote in December, the entire first draft is on Patreon. So if you want to read the whole book, the very first draft of it, which may or may not be the best, but the whole story's there on Patreon. And I plan to continue to do that. So you can read it a whole year in advance before it releases. So let's see. Oops, I don't need that anymore. Okay. Awesome. I already got, thanks, Jen. I just got your notification that you joined. You guys are amazing. I love doing these live streams because it's so much fun to work with other people because writing can feel really lonely sometimes. So I love having you guys with me along for the journey. All right. Realized I wasn't signed up, quickly remediated that. Well, thank you, Jen, so much. Thank you for subscribing to the newsletter. I get your newsletters as well. Loving those. I'm reading that next. Oh, thanks, Jessica. So Jessica is a Patreon member, and so she can read Winter Witches. It's a little rough, I'm sure, because I haven't edited it. I was posting it to Patreon a couple weeks, like a week after I had written each chapter. A chapter a day was going up. That's how fast I was writing that book. And it is really fun. It is much lighter than most of my fantasy books. I like to say it's more of a romance with a fantasy twist because the romance is the plot. The like the magic and the fantasy thing, I mean, obviously it's witches, is like a secondary thing. So normally romance is the B plot, not the A plot, but in this case it's the other way around, and that's a new thing for me. And I loved it. I am planning to write at least like one a year like that because it was such a nice break in all of my more serious projects. So I have Winter Witches, planning on writing the next book in that series. And then next year I'll write the third one. And then I already have some ideas for some other similar series related to that with like the same premise. So go check it out. It's really fun. I think it's really fun. I had a good time writing it anyway. And I always write the books I want to read, even if they're not exactly trendy at the time. I write what I want to read. I am excited. I'm almost done with the arena, so I'm ready for more. Thank you so much, Jessica. Make sure you leave me a review on that one. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I always love feedback. It makes me better. And I know reading's subjective to a degree. We all like different things, but there's still some like craft involved. And if you put any kind of critical thought into your review, it's usually valid. So I would love to hear what you think. All right. It is 9:38. We're going to do another 20 minutes, so that would put us right on schedule. So let's go ahead into the third sprint. We'll do another 20 minutes. I'm going to put that up on the clock, see how much I can get done in this sprint. I would challenge myself to beat the second sprint, but I think I would really be moving really fast if I wrote more than 732 words. So I'm not going to put that kind of pressure on myself. I'm just going to see where I end up. So hopefully all of you get a lot done. We'll see where we all end up, and we will meet again in 20 minutes. 1, 2, 3, sprint. All right. How did everybody do? Let me tally my word count. Holy moly, this is going so well. I want to stay up longer, but I still need to get ready for bed. I need to shower. Our water was off most of the day. So we had a surprise leak. Thankfully, it wasn't anything major, but it meant that we had to have a plumber come out immediately and we had to have our water off most of the day. It threw a huge wrench in my routine. Normally, I do laundry, I do dishes, I do all kinds of things on Sunday because it's the best time of the week to do it for me. And that didn't happen. So I'm a little worried what the rest of the week will look like in terms of like laundry and housework, but um it's back on now. So it just means that I have to shower late at night. But all things are good. Okay. Man, I should have challenged myself to try and beat my second sprint word count because I wrote 103 words in sprint 3, which is more than any of the sprints so far. So, I really should have taken my chances. So that puts me at 45,000 words, 994 for today, or not today. Whoo, overall. That's the overall word count. Holy moly. But that's great. Paired with everything from today, that is a really good chunk that I got done just today. Jen said she finished the last chapter of part 4 and she is a little bit into chapter 1 of part 5. Wow. Well, that's more than you'd kind of planned for. So that's great. What about everybody else? Whew, yes. We have all been very productive today, especially Jen, you and I. We've been doing a lot of writing this afternoon and into this evening. I think we both need to reward ourselves, take some time, do something else. Wow. So let me tally up what I was able to accomplish for the day real quick because now I'm really curious how much I got done today. So, okay. I wrote 3,273 words today. I'm feeling pretty good. So, as much as I want to stay up late and write some more, that's a pretty good that I'm satisfied. That's pretty good to end on. Um, how much is that for this week? So I keep track of everything I write in a week when I'm drafting because it's super motivating to me to see what I get done every week. So, I didn't write as much as last week, but last week I was off from work. It was our spring break. And so I wrote 15,446 words last week. This week I have written 12,641. So I'm still on a really good pace. I do think that book 3 is going to be quite long. So my goal has always been to finish it in a month, and I started it at the very beginning of March, but I definitely think it's going to be a week or two into April before I finish this book because it's just going to be longer. Looking at the page count and everything, this would normally be closer to the midpoint of the book, and I still feel like I'm in like mostly the first third. I'm about to the midpoint, but I'm not quite there. So this is going to be a chunky book. We've been doing it. Yes, we have, Jen. She says, I've got some ice cream calling my name in the freezer. That sounds so nice. That sounds really nice. I'm going to take a long hot shower, unwind, and I think that will be my reward. Phoebe's vlog said 600 exactly that sprint. Woo, isn't that satisfying? That's a good word count. 600 words is pretty good in 20 minutes. Yes, treat yourself. I agree. I think we all should tonight. That hot shower sounds amazing. Yes, I am so excited, especially because we were a little worried we wouldn't have water at all today. So I thought that I was gonna have to make a trip to my parents' house, which isn't very far. We live in the same city. My parents watch my toddler during the day. They're also retired teachers. And so they are our childcare, which is extremely privileged. Most people don't have that. So I'm very fortunate that my son gets to spend time with his grandparents every weekday, and it's just them, which is amazing. But I thought I was gonna have to make like a late night trip over there. They go to bed at like 9, so I was a little worried about that. But I'm glad that we have the water, so that's my next plan. Jessica's gonna do some yoga before bed. Good night. Thanks for hosting. Well, have fun with your yoga. That sounds like a really nice way to end the day. And I'll see you next week, Jess. So, yes, I think we are in a really good place to end. I'm very happy with everything that I was able to get done for the week. I'm looking forward to what I'll be able to accomplish for next week. And I am still planning, as usual, to have our 8:20 sprint on next Sunday. So be looking for that. Just one last piece of news before I go. The Arena, which is my very first book, it is science fiction romance. It is currently on sale this week, all of this week on Amazon. The ebook is at like 99 cents right now because the 28th on Tuesday is the 1 year anniversary of its publication date. So if you've been curious about what that book is about and you just haven't jumped on it, you can get it at a discount right now. So go check it out on Amazon. It's an Amazon exclusive deal. So go check that out there if you'd like to read it. So I think that's it for our stream. You guys are amazing. As always, I'm always so thankful to have you guys writing with me every single week. This is just such a nice end of the week for me. I call it end of the week. Really, it's the beginning of the week. It's Sunday, but it's a nice way for me to go into the weekday, go into work tomorrow morning feeling refreshed and accomplished. And I hope all of you guys do too. So, that's all for this week. I will see you guys next Sunday at 8:20, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.